Welcome back and thank you for staying with the broadcast. On Tuesday, the Office of the Mayor introduced a new Chief of City Police, Brian Jawahir. Jawahir, who has a host of experience both in law enforcement and tourism, says he is taking on the task ahead full throttle and has a renewed vision for the City Police Department. He says he is looking forward to changing certain operations within the department to ensure a greater efficiency and foster a better relationship with the public.
The new Chief of City Police was presented to the public on Tuesday by the Office of the Mayor. The Office of the Mayor says the retired Superintendent of Police, Brian Jawahir, comes with a wealth of knowledge from working within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, as well as within the tourism sector. Jawahir was asked what he believes some of the biggest challenges facing the City Police Department are, to which he gave a myriad of issues which he has observed.
One of the major challenges, based on my observation and going through the city, is the problem of vending. Besides vending, we have also challenges with traffic management, parking, using the sidewalk. These are some of the challenges. And also, what I have observed is the cooperation, the support I feel that is lacking from the general public for the city police.
Jawahir was asked how he will collaborate with police to complement their work. In the past, police have taken issue with some of the powers granted to city police, while police, on the other hand, were chastised by the mayor for not collaborating effectively with city police.
I am here to build capacity within the city police. And through this building this capacity, I'm going to use a combination of complementary strategies. Training, information sharing, coaching the city police, meetings, and I believe having achieved this, the city police will be able to deliver more efficiently and hopefully mend this bridge. Well, we are a service provider and not a force. So, like you have the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, but we are a service provider. I believe in rendering services, providing service, you have to.
Nevertheless, he says he is ready to serve his country again, and in his new capacity, he will execute his duties with no bias and as efficiently as possible. He says he has a multitude of plans for the development of the Department of City Police.
As the incoming Chief of the City Police, my plans are, but not limited to: 1. Develop the City Police into a unit which will deliver professional and reliable service. 2. The formulation of a vision and mission. This will be our mandate, which will guide us in the execution of our duties. 3. Apart from the traditional law enforcement activities, it is my intention to employ 4 strategies aimed to help prevent crime through partnership with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the community, and adopting a problem-solving approach.
The mayor of Castries, Peterson Francis, believes the City Police Department will continue to do great work within the city of Castries. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
After shocking news of a brother shooting his sister in Marigot, the matter has been confirmed by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. However, it has also been revealed that the shooting victim is refusing to take action against her assailant. Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police George Nicholas says in such situations, whilst the hands of the police are tied in one way, there is also an open door to take other courses of action. A Vanad woman is refusing to press charges against the man who allegedly shot her on Friday evening, as he happens to be her very own brother. The alleged incident occurred at about 10 a.m. according to senior police officials. On Monday, Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police George Nicholas confirmed the news.
A matter was reported to us where it is alleged that a brother shot a sister, but also the sister has indicated that she doesn't want to pursue any court action, but the police did respond to a report of that nature.
ACP Nicholas said such cases leave the police with tied hands, but not powerless.
There are certain things that the police can do in relation to that, but up to a point. Once the victim is not interested in pursuing a matter of that nature, there's very little that the police can do in relation to the matter where the victim sustained the injuries. But as relates to other issues relating to that matter, the police can do quite a bit.
ACP Nicholas said, whilst the victim may not pursue the court matter, the police will continue to investigate and act upon the circumstances of the situation that occurred. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez. There have been calls by archivist Margot Thomas for an Antiquities Act to help with the preservation of artifacts that are innately St. Lucian. The Tourism Minister Dominic Fede gave his blessings, saying that such an act should be considered. But what does the Culture Minister think? Minister for Culture Fortuna Belrose says St. Lucia does have legislation that already helps with the acquisition and preservation of what is endemic to the country. She says what she believes needs to be done is for all various groups to work together to preserve what is already. She, however, did make the case that if anyone believes there is a need for more legislation, they need to go ahead and follow through with the process that will allow for new legislation to be considered and formed by authorities.
Local archivist Margot Thomas, in a recent interview with Hot 7, made a fervent plea to local authorities to enact an Antiquities Act. An Antiquities Act would give the government the ability to declare historic landmarks, historic and prehistoric structures, and other objects of historic or scientific interest that are situated on land owned or controlled by the state to be national monuments. This comes following what has been seen as an alarming trend of St. Lucian artifacts and documents being taken off the island and held in private collections. The Minister for Culture, Fortuna Belrose, has joined the conversation. However, she says there are already provisions for that in St. Lucia, and if anything has to be done, it probably would be the revision of the existing legislation.
That is there, not because other societies have those laws that we have to insist on putting them in there. We have laws, we have provisions within our system that takes care of some of this already, and so we just perhaps need to review whether it gives us adequate coverage insofar as that is concerned.
Belrose, however, did indicate that in some aspects, St. Lucians do have difficulty accepting and preserving what is theirs.
A lot of us, we have difficulty accepting what is ours, and preserving what is ours. Yes, we do have difficulty in that, and that's because we don't have a culture of protecting what is our own. In terms of our history and the background that we've come from, we've had a history of fighting each other. We've had a history of hiding from each other, and so now I think with the type of government we have, where we are more inclusive, we are more embracing, we are more encouraging, and we deliberately going out to demonstrate that in our actions, that we will preserve, we will support, but we also have a responsibility to ensure that our citizens are healthy and they live in an environment where they are capable of taking care of themselves economically. These are the issues that you have to look at. We are a small society, 288 square miles. We don't have much land, but what we do have is people who are people with the capabilities to make decisions in the interests of our country.
She says St. Lucia is filled to the core with a patriotic citizenry. She says, however, given the greater understanding that people now have for culture and heritage, she does understand why there would be calls for an Antiquities Act.
It's a mechanism within government. So if within the National Archives there is an issue that they need addressed, there is a forum for that, within government. So in the first instance, that should happen. I think too many times we hear people speaking, and a lot of hormones flying, about things, and people are not going through the processes of trying to ensure that it happens. But we just want to speak and make it happen. I think the only person who can do that is God, and our citizenry and those activists and people involved need to understand that there are clear processes by which things happen. So if there is a need for something, they need to come through with the substantiation of the need, you understand, and of course lobby government to make sure it happens in the right way.
The Culture Minister believes St. Lucia has come a long way, and the fact that people are now rallying for greater preservation of their own is very comforting. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Former Environmental Minister James Fletcher says the condition of the island's natural waterways is becoming increasingly worrying. He is calling on local authorities to take immediate action before the loss of river fauna becomes irreversible.
In various communities around the island, residents have been clamoring for rivers and estuaries to be dredged in anticipation of rains to come during this hurricane season. Former Environmental Minister Dr. James Fletcher believes that with the onset of climate change, the window of time left for St. Lucia to address the issues plaguing rivers is closing. Dr. Fletcher says the decisions made now will determine future generations' ability to access potable water.
The flow rates in all of our rivers have been decreasing over time due to poor land use, degradation of the watersheds, deforestation, and more recently, variability in the water cycle because of climate change. This will have serious implications for our ability to meet our water needs in the future. The maintenance of our rivers is important to safeguard the supply of potable water, drinking water, since all of our drinking water comes from surface water, as opposed to wells or aquifers like you have in countries like Barbados.
Fletcher, noting that St. Lucia's water supply is fully dependent on surface water, went on to underscore the long-term implications that poor river maintenance could have on the economy and health sector.
Our freshwater systems are extremely important for the integrity of our land-based ecosystems. Although we say it so often, it has now become almost a cliche, but water really is life. If there is a shortage of fresh water, most of our biodiversity will struggle to survive. The competition for a diminishing freshwater supply will create new and challenging dynamics in our country. Livestock production will suffer. Farm-based agriculture will suffer tremendously. Many of our farmers can give you horror stories of what they went through this year during the dry season. Even for us humans, a reduction in water supply may cause poorer people to turn to sources of water that are not healthy, and this may result in serious public health problems.
He further appealed to the public to cease from the dumping of garbage near rivers.
There is a dangerous habit that some of us have in St. Lucia of using the rivers as garbage disposal sites. Everything from discarded refrigerators and other large appliances to household garbage finds its way into our rivers. Also, when people clear land to build, the felled trees and large branches can also find their way into rivers and streams after heavy rainfall. This creates unintentional dams in the river, and it also blocks culverts, which makes it impossible for the water to flow along its normal course in the rivers. The result is very serious flooding, which threatens lives and livelihoods in the surrounding areas.
Dr. Fletcher stresses that it will take a holistic approach, which factors in watershed protection, sediment removal, and sustainable development practices in order to ensure the health and sustainability of St. Lucia's water systems. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, we have more after this break.